And let's start with our best win of the weekend. It was a busy weekend. Certainly the headline game was yesterday in Tuscaloosa. Auburn gets a big win. That was a big one. But for me, the biggest win of the weekend was today, was St. John's getting a 2-game lead inside the Big East. They had a scratch fight claw, showed a lot of toughness. The Garden was packed. New York's got energy. To me, college basketball is better when that's happening. So I think St. John's had the biggest win of the weekend, extending that lead to 2 in the Big East. Rob Doster, your biggest win of the weekend was who?
Well, I'm just going to say that Auburn winning is too obvious, so I'm not going to go with Auburn. I'm going to say Houston going into Tucson and knocking off Arizona, doing the same thing St. John's did, taking a 2-game lead in the Big 12 regular season standings. Milos Uzan is the one guy that nobody's talking enough about and what he's done over the course of the last month. He is a game changer for the Cougs.
Mike Latula, best win of the weekend was what?
The Wisconsin Badgers. And the reason for it was you
didn't want to go with the other Big Ten team on the road that won on Saturday?
No. It was Wisconsin. CBS revealed their bracket, and Wisconsin was on the 3 line. And I think people at the time had it was a head scratcher for some people. And then you couple that with, it was set up for Wisconsin, who had won 5 games all time in Mackey Arena, to have that, get shown on that seed line and then come out and, potentially get run out of the gym like they have a few times in Mackey. But instead, they put on one of the best offensive performances we've seen in the last 15 years and one of the toughest environments in college basketball. So I think while the focus is on Michigan and Michigan State with this game coming up and who's going to win the Big Ten title, Wisconsin's creeping up on them, and they have the easiest schedule remaining of all the teams that are contending for that league. So that's why this win was so big. In addition to, I think, just kind of solidifying some things about their resume and where it's at right now, and where they can potentially be for seeding come March.
All right, let's quickly go worst loss of the weekend. I'm going to go with the Drake Bulldogs. They lose today. Their star, Ben Sturts, was not really effective. Didn't do much. He was 3 of 8 from the field, only finished with 8 points. Tough loss for them. We know in leagues like that, losses are unforgiving when it comes to the committee and the resume and the SOS and the RPI. So I'll go with Drake with the most disappointing loss. Rob, how about you?
I'm abstaining from answering the question. It was UConn, man. It was UConn. You can't go to Seton Hall and lose. You can't blow a 7-point lead in the last minute regulation. You can't blow a 5-point lead in the last minute of overtime. You can't lose to the worst Power 5 team in college basketball and expect anything, especially when on Tuesday night you go in there, you say 2 rings boldly and it goes viral, and you go and you lose to Seton Hall. What are we doing, man? I quit.
It was UConn. It was UConn for me as well, but I'll throw Kansas in there, just because they're continuing to search. The offense continues to be a chore for them, and they really have to be elite defensively to, I think, beat really good teams in March. So another tough one for them. They just don't have the physical advantage that I think previous Kansas teams had. So I think that's made life a little bit difficult for them this year. So just a tough one. They've lost 3 out of 5, and they're heading in the wrong direction here, as we approach March. So UConn was my pick, but I'll go with Kansas.